Alright, I got a special video today. Today I'm going to be ranking Gudnak characters from the Shardsworn faction based on how well I think they can make carbonara pasta. Now, first of all, let's lay some ground rules. I will not be ranking tactics because it'll get weird. It'll get too weird, I think. And I'll not be ranking basic fighters because they are basic. Well, let's just get into this. I apologize for any awkward flow as this is unscripted. So, starting, we got Maestro della Carbonara as the S tier for this tier list. Sous chef, station chef, almost al dente, and destroyer of kitchens. So to start, I'm just going to go through the tier 1 heroes of the faction. Starting with Shardwisp. Now, when I look at this guy, I don't know. Glimmer and Shimmer. After this fighter is destroyed, put target friendly fighter and target enemy fighter into their owner's hands with directed stacks. Personally, I don't really know how this could be incorporated into the kitchen. The way I see this, if this guy gets destroyed, he's just going to start like sending ingredients flying everywhere. Unfortunately, I'm going to give Shardwisp. I'm going to be sticking Shardwisp in the Destroyer of Kitchen section because I don't see any practical use for him in making carbonara. Next up, we got Orc Berserker. Who, I mean, yeah. Look at his ability, Savage Swing. After his fighter attacks, destroy the fighter being attacked. After his fighter's attacked, destroy the attacking fighter. How could this be interpreted for carbonara making? I think Orc Berserker is probably one of my favorite cards from the game, but I don't think he's going to be very good at making pasta. Yeah, I don't know. He might be able to chop up some guanciale, but I don't think it's going to be a good job. And yeah, I think Orc Berserker, I think he could actually participate in the kitchen, unlike Shardwisp. I just don't think he'd be very good, so I'm going to be putting him in almost al dente. Next up we have is Half Orc. Half Orc's ability is multifaceted. If this stack contains another soldier, this fighter cannot be attacked until your next turn. If it contains another hunter, destroy target 1 or 2 less squares away. So, the way I'm going to interpret this when talking about the kitchen and making pasta, and I'm going to look at this as this fighter cannot be attacked until your next turn. I don't think that part will have much application, but I think the second half of this ability, I'm going to interpret this as, let's say you have one cook making pasta, or he's cutting up the guanciale or whatever, and Half Orc comes in, and he's just going to start immediately helping with whatever ingredients you need, whether it be the pasta or the eggs. I think it's basically going to be help playing catch up if there's any prep work that needs to be done beforehand for the meal. I don't know. I think he's be okay. I don't think he'd be a sous chef, or I don't think he'd be a maestro, but I think I can comfortably put him in station chef doing prep work. Alright, Goblin Elder. Now this guy. This man right here. Unification. At the start of your turn, target friendly gains brute, soldier, or hunter until the end of your turn. Now when I think of elderly people, I think of wisdom. The way I see this man, he's probably been making carbonara for a long, long time. He's probably, he probably made it in the world of Gudnak. That's the way I see it. And if we look at unification, I think this could be interpreted as him teaching the younger generations how to make this tasty dish, you know? So I feel like Goblin Elder's gonna be our first maestro. I feel fairly confident in that choice. Now we'll look at Elven Trapper. Now we get into the problem with this tier list is some fighters' abilities have to do with tactics and such, which is fine. The way I'm going to interpret these two passives, efficient and proficient, as think of the constructs in a kitchen being like your cooktop, dishwasher, your fridge, your fridge and your freezer. So the way I see it, this guy would know. He knows where everything is. He's good at working at each station. He's at least a little bit proficient in each station. Like he'd be great in dishwashing. He knows how to cook. He knows where to find things in the fridge. That's how I am interpreting efficient and proficient of the Elven Trapper. Now, do I put him sous chef or station chef? That's the question. I do think he's better than half orc. But you know, just don't know if he would be a sous chef though. You know, This is a tough one. Yeah, the way I'm interpreting is this: reduce the action cost of your constructs. I imagine he's just very good at using any of the equipment that's in the kitchen. Proficient, you may not choose to trigger face down constructs that you try to return. The way I'm interpreting this, he can work maximum efficiency, and he's very good at each station. At least each piece of technology, I should say. I think I'm gonna put him in sous chef. That might be a little crazy, but the way I see it, this guy knows his way around the kitchen. And if he isn't a sous chef, he's on the way to it for sure. Alright, next up, Elven Ranger. Let's take a look at this guy. Elven Ranger's ability, we have an action ability, Long Shot. Destroy target non-adjacent enemy one that is 4 or less squares away. So, the way I could see this is the way I'm thinking about enemies as ingredients that need to get, prepped. That's the way I see it. The way when I'm looking at Elven Ranger, I'm thinking this guy is probably I think he could be pretty good at multitasking 2 different stations. Let's say he's got his guanciale on one side, like chopping it up for the carbonara, and then he could also probably be working on the sauce at the same time. So I think Elven Ranger's going station chef. I think goes ahead of half orc just because I think half orc's good at organizing people, but I think Elven Ranger, he doesn't need to be organized. He's got it down. Alright, next up, Elven Druid. So Elven Druid has 2 abilities here, both action abilities. We have Bear Form and Owl Form. Bear Form, this fighter has a +2 until the start of your next turn. In Owl Form, we have move this fighter to any unoccupied square. Now, I gotta think about how to interpret this. Owl form I think is easy. This guy can get around the kitchen quickly. Bear form, I haven't really put in much thought how to interpret increased power into this scenario of making pasta. Okay, I think the way I'm going to interpret any cards that increase power means they just get better at whatever the task is. But that does not necessarily mean, for example, cards that are base 3 power are going to be inherently better than cards that are base 1 power. It's just the fact that for example, the Elven Druid has a boon here to increase his power. So the way I think I'm going to interpret this, bear form, you know what? Okay, so I think owl form helps the Elven Druid here out quite a bit, but his other ability, bear form, I mean, I'm just imagining like a bear in the kitchen. I don't think it's going to be like, I'm not thinking, I mean, it could be like Paddington Bear, but I don't know. I think I'm going to put Elven Druid in almost al dente ahead of Orc Berserker. Like, I think you can get around the kitchen fast, but if other than that, he's kind of just your average Joe schmo. Like, I don't think bear form's going to be helping much. Okay, up next we got Demolition Experts. I mean, the name kind of says it all. I don't think I need to speak much more on this. This is going in Destroyer of Kitchens. Alright, Baby Basilisk. Now, this is a token, so it's a little weird. It's not technically a hero 1, but it is at the same time because it's got the like extra cool banner. But anyways, I mean, this is kind of the same thing as a baby. I don't think babies know how to make carbonara, but that's just me. And each enemy fighter has, we can look at the ability. Promising start. Each enemy fighter that has 2 or less squares away starts its owner's turn. Next turn fatigued. I don't know how fatiguing vegetables. I'm not sure how to interpret that really. Maybe it makes them a little easier to chop. I don't think this guy's gonna wreck the kitchen though, you know. So I'm not gonna put him in Destroyer of Kitchens, but I don't think he's gonna be participating much. He's just a little baby. Okay, so that's all the tier 1 heroes. We can move on to the tier 2s, starting with Wyvern Swarm. Now, Wyvern Swarm's got a passive ability called Scavenger. This fighter may not take attack actions. After a fighter is destroyed, you may move this fighter to that square if it is now occupied. Now, looking at this art and the ability, the way I'm gonna interpret this is this guy's eating the leftover scraps, you know, stuff you're gonna throw in the compost or the garbage. I don't think these guys are gonna be good at cooking, but they're gonna be part of the cleanup crew, and you know what, that is important. So, you know, this is a tier list about making carbonara, but I'm kind of picturing it in a kitchen sense. So I don't think these guys are going to be very high, but I don't think they're going to be, you know, I think they honestly, I'm going to put them in almost al dente. I think they're better than Elven Druid. No, but I think they're better than Baby Basilisk and Orc Berserker. Alright, next up, Reckless Chimera. I mean, this guy is just gonna wreck the kitchen. He's just gonna wreck everything. Look at the abilities, Graceful Flight. You can put him anywhere. He's gonna destroy all adjacent ones though. He is good. I'm sorry. Sorry, he's just a destroyer, this guy. Alright, Ogre Shaman. Ogre Shaman has an action ability called Overload. Discard a fighter from your hand, then destroy target enemy fighter with equal power or less power that is 2 or less squares away. So, this guy's got some freaky magic. The way I'm going to interpret this is, this guy's got some like almost polymorph type ability. Like he can take one ingredient, destroy it, but create another. So this could be useful in a kitchen sense if you're out of, you know, eggs, or you don't got the guanciale, you know, whatever. I mean, the only problem is you got to destroy other ingredients. You got to do that. So I feel like this guy could be helpful in a pinch. Now, where do we put him? That's the question. I don't think he goes Destroyer of Kitchens. Definitely not a Maestro or a sous chef. So I'm thinking Station Chef or almost al dente. But where? Okay, I think this guy's gonna go in Station Chef. I think I'm gonna put him in the lower end though. He's kind of situational, but I imagine having magic, that's also gotta help him in the actual pasta making process as well. Alright, next up we got Master of the Hunt. So, Master of the Hunt has 2 passives. We got Fortitude and Stationary. Fortitude, hunters you control may take actions while fatigued. In Stationary, this fighter does not relocate when resolving attacks. The way I'm interpreting this, Fortitude, very strong. When this guy's in the kitchen, everyone's working full efficiency. And they don't stop even if they're tired. Now that probably isn't like ethical, you know, to work your cooks that hard. But, you know, I don't think he cares. In Stationary, this fighter does not relocate when resolving attacks. I don't know if that one really applies here, but the fatigued one is very, in my opinion, very strong here. So I'm thinking, this applies to the whole kitchen as well. I'm really struggling between Maestro, Della Carbonara, and sous chef. When I'm looking at Stationary as well, I imagine this guy he's really good at one station. Like he sends the other cooks, they go off, do the other stuff, and he's like this guy's making the pasta, you know. I think I'm gonna put him in sous chef in front of Elven Trapper. I imagine this guy works under Goblin Elder. Like, he's who taught, Goblin Elder taught this guy, you know? Alright, next up we got Greater Cockatrice. You know, I don't imagine this guy being very good in the kitchen. I'm just gonna be honest. He's kind of got the same thing going on as Baby Basilisk with the fatiguing vegetables. But this guy seems more destructive to me because he's fully grown. This is a little baby. Baby Basilisk's a little baby. He's not gonna wreck the kitchen. This guy imagines freaking out running around. I think he's got to go in Destroyer of Kitchens. You know, that's kind of the one thing that sucks about Shardsworn is they got a lot of guys that are destructive, and I just don't think they apply in a kitchen setting. Alright, we got next up Goblin Giant Stalker. So Goblin Giant Stalker's got two abilities. First one's a passive, Hidden Road. The second one's an action ability, Leap. Hidden Road is put Hunter's Mark into your hand from the graveyard or outside the game. And then we have Leap, which is attack target fighter with Hunter's Mark 2 squares away. So, I don't have the Hunter's Mark card handy, but I will grab it right now. Okay, so this is Hunter's Mark. So your Hunters have +1 when attacking a fighter that is placed on. And if a fighter is attacked and destroyed by a hunter you control, you may put this attachment onto another enemy fighter. So, the way I interpret this is once Goblin Giant Stalker gets into the kitchen, they place like a mark, you know, they target one station, whatever it is, let's say sauce. Then they can go to town on sauce. They got the +1 bonus to it, making them more efficient at it. And then once they finish that, they can immediately place it on another station and get working on that. To me, this seems very strong. I feel like Goblin Giant Stalker is very efficient in the kitchen and getting things ready. I think I'm going to put Giant Stalker. I mean, the fact they can just bounce around the kitchen and stuff, I think I'm going to put them in Maestro. Maestro della Carbonara with Goblin Elder. Alright, next up we have Expert Wranglers. I mean, I think the art kind of says it all for these guys. You know? We got two abilities here, Hiya, or Haya. Use deploy ability of fighter in this stack, and then totally in control. Move this fighter to any square. At the end of your turn, destroy this fighter. This guy's not lasting in the kitchen very long. And look at him. He's bringing in a Chimera in. It's not going to end well. I'm sorry, this guy's going to go in Destroyer of Kitchens. Also, I'm going to rearrange Destroyer of Kitchens to how destructive they are. So if they're more destructive, I'm going to put them lower on. So I'm going to move Demolition Experts here. I think this will be it. So we'll go Shardsworn, Expert Wrangler, Reckless Chimera, then Demolition Experts. Alright, next up, Corrupted Shard Beast. I mean, this guy is like a bull in a china shop, you know? He's got one ability to passive called Overkill. The first time an enemy fighter is destroyed on your turn, destroy all adjacent 1 and 2s. I think this guy... you know, I think this guy could have potential, but he's like taking out his fellow co-workers and stuff, you know? Like he can mess up a station in a good way. Like he can freak it up, get it done, but he's gonna be like elbowing like busboy that's walking by and stuff, so I think he's gonna go bottom of almost al dente. Alright, that's all the tier 2s. Now we're on to the big boys. I'm gonna split them up here. See what we got. We got 4. We're gonna start with Dragon. And I mean, yeah, you know, we got a deploy ability here. Destroy target other friendly fighter, then destroy target enemy fighter with equal or less power. If you do, you may repeat this any number of times. Like, I just don't see this being super effective, you know? Destroy target other... I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Ogre Shaman, is you're destroying stuff and destroying other stuff. This is also a dragon. You know, Dragon don't got thumbs to make pasta. So on top of just destroying stuff, like it could be argued that he could have the same thing as... You know what? No, I'm not even going to argue it like that because Ogre Shaman's got magic. This guy's just shooting laser breaths. I'm sorry. Dragons go in bottom, Destroyer of Kitchens for now. Next up, we'll look at Spirit of the Alliance. So, Spirit of the Alliance has two passives. We have Pact, which is this fighter gains Brute, Soldier, and Hunter on your turn. And Solidarity. You may deploy fighters on top of any fighter you control with a matching trait regardless of position. I love this art, by the way. Just as a side note. The way I interpret this is, I mean, this guy would combo well with Goblin Elder, you know? I imagine this guy, much like Master of the Hunt, and probably Goblin Giant Stalker, is working under the Goblin Elder. And you may deploy fighters on top of any other fighter you control the matching trait. This guy, kind of the same thing as Master of the Hunt. This guy, he dominates the kitchen. You know, he organizes. He's like a master of efficiency and organization. So I think, who's better? That's the question. Master of the Hunt or Spirit of the Alliance? If Master ignores fatigue, which is super strong, but this guy can just get people where they need to go. Much to think about. I think I'm gonna put him below Master. It's pretty tough. Like, I'm struggling to pick, but I think that's my final decision with Elven Trapper after them. Alright, our last two. We got Ogre Nihilist and Elven Valkyrie. We got Ogre Nihilist. So, Ogre Nihilist has one ability, Endbringer. After this fire is destroyed, destroy all fighters and constructs. I think this guy is just like a nuke. Like, he walks into the kitchen and he blows the whole place up. Like, I just don't see... To be fair, I don't know how he would get destroyed. So let's say he gets fired. And then he just, like, kills himself and blows up the whole kitchen. I don't see Ogre Nihilist being particularly good, you know? Is he better than Dragon? Yeah. I mean, I could see, like, yeah, I think he's better, like... I'm stuck between almost al dente and Destroyer of Kitchens. Like, I think he could work in the kitchen, but I feel like if he has one bad day, he just blows up the whole place. So I think I'm going to put him front of Destroyer of Kitchens. And then I'd say he's on like the teeter of Destroyer of Kitchens, almost al dente, because I could see him working. But the threat looms. The threat of destruction looms. And then finally, we have Elven Valkyrie. It's one of my favorite cards. At least to play in the game. So we have Elven Valkyrie, which is hunters you control, at least. Well, sorry, let me phrase. We have two passives here. Sharp Angles. Hunters you control may attack diagonally, and Stationary. This fighter does not relocate when resolving attacks. So, I mean, Sharp Angles, the way I interpret this, she can, much like Master of the Hunt, Spirit of the Alliance, coordinate people and train them so they can work 2 stations at once. Or they can have 3 stations laid out in front of them. They can work on the one in front of them, or to the left, or to the right of them, and not need to move at all. To me, that seems very strong and very efficient. Stationary, this fighter does not relocate when resolving attacks. Much like Master of the Hunt, I think that means she's very... how do you say? I think she's very proficient in what she does. Like she can stick it and combo that with sharp angles. She's very efficient at 3 stations at once. Oof. I think I'm gonna put Valkyrie in Maestro della Carbonara in front of Giant Goblin Stalker, but still behind the Elder. You cannot beat Wisdom, in my opinion. And there we have it. That is the tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? You think I'm stupid and dumb for putting a card in a specific spot? Let me know. Anyways, cheers.